Morning guys, this is Sechauke. I'm a professional teacher for accounting. If you're watching this, you're definitely at the right place. Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting that subscribe button down there, and also make sure that you share this lesson with your friends. Today we're going to be looking at closing transfer as well as preparing the trading account and the profit and loss account. I'm just going to try and show you the best way you can deal with this without wasting too much time, but I'm going to be a little bit in detail as I explain this, so that this can serve as a foundation when we go and do the income statement. So please pay attention, make sure that you watch this lesson as much as you can until you understand. With that out of the way, let's go to our lesson. Now here it is saying that we need to make journal entries for closing transfers, and this after that we need to prepare the following accounts in the general ledger: capital account, trading account, as well as profit and loss account. And then lastly, we need to draw the post-closing trial balance. But for me, I'm only going to end on the profit and loss account. Post-closing trial balance, I will do a separate lesson for it, so that this lesson doesn't become very long. Okay, now here we are given information and we are told that our year ends on 28 February 2012, which means that the beginning of our year will be the 1st of March 2011. Okay, and if you look at this, you don't have any adjustments. You just need to do the closing transfers. Now, for you to be able to do the closing transfers, you must be familiar and comfortable with the 10 steps of making closing transfers, and we covered that in lesson number 8. So if you don't know them by heart, you are going to have a problem when you do the closing transfers. So please make sure that you practice those 10 steps and you know them by heart. So let's get into the lesson. Now, remember guys, the first step that we must do, we must transfer our debtors allowance to sales. So when we transfer our debtors allowance to sales, what we do, we debit sales and we credit our debtors allowance. Remember guys, I said that when you do closing transfers, what is normally debited you credit, what is normally credited you debit it. Okay, so you must keep that in mind. So remember, when we do closing transfers closing transfers for debtors allowance, account affected is sales and debtors allowance. So in other words, here what we are going to do, we are going to debit our sales. So we're going to say debit sales, and then we are going to credit debtors allowance. Okay, and then when we give a narration, we are going to say that this is for closing transfers. Okay, so we need to check what is the amount for the tax allowance, because it is the one that we are closing off to sales. So we are going to check it here, and then the amount according to here, the amount for the tax allowance is 21,440. So which means that 21,440 will come here. So say debit by 21,440 and then credit by 21,440, and then this is the step. You are now done with this, and then from there, the next step that we are going to do, we are going to close off our sales to trading account. So in other words, what we are going to do, we are going to debit our sales. So we'll say debit sales, and then we are going to credit trading account. Okay, so we'll credit trading account, and then remember, we must check what is the amount for our sales. So here, when we explain, we are going to say that this is a closing transfer, because remember, you are doing closing transfers at the end of the year. So now let's go and check what is the amount for sales. But remember, you must deduct the tax allowance so that you can get your net sales. Okay, so our sales according to this is 2,701,440. So we're going to say that 2,701,440, then we say subtract our the tax allowance, which is 21,440, so that it can give us our net sales. Remember, here our main focus is getting our net sales. So let's see, 2,701,440, then we say minus 21,440. It is giving us 2,680,000. So therefore our net sales is going to be 2,680,000. So that 2,680,000 will come here, and then we will then credit also by 2,680,000, and then from there you have fulfilled the second step. Then next, the third step says that we must close off our cost of sales to trading account. So in other words, what we are going to do, we are going to say that we are going to debit our profit and loss, our trading account. So we're going to debit our trading account, then we credit our cost of sales, because remember I said that when you close off, you do the opposite. What was normally debited is credited. So we're going to debit our trading account. We're going to say debit trading account, and then we credit cost of sales. Okay, and then when we give an explanation, we are going to say that we were doing a closing transfer, and then we can check how much is our cost of sales. So our cost of sales, according to this, our cost of sales is 1,675,000. So that 1,675,000 will be written here, 1,675,000, and then 1,675,000. And then from there, what we need to do, we need to make sure that we transfer our gross profit to profit and loss account. Now, in order for you to be able to do that, you must then check, whether you are making a profit or a gross loss before you do that transfer, so that you don't make some silly mistakes. So let's check. If we say, remember our net sales is 2,680,000. So if we say 2,680,000 and we say subtract 1,675,000, it is going to give us 1,005,000. So meaning that this is our gross profit. So what are we going to do? We need to make sure that we write this in a way that it makes sense. It shows that profit and loss is an income, and we know that incomes on profit and loss account increase on the credit side. So what we are going to do, in other words, we are going to say debit trading account. So we will debit trading account. We'll debit trading account, and then we will say credit. We are going to credit profit and loss. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We check our amount. Remember we said it's 1,005,000, so we write that 1,005,000 here. 1,000,000. Remember is 1,005,000. So that 1,005,000 will come here. Then from there we explain that this is a closing transfer. And then you are done with the transferring of that profit. Now remember guys, as accounting student, you must be very wise in terms of how you manage your time. In this question, you are also required to do your trading account. So now what you can do, you can just simply make sure that you transfer this information that we have written so far to your trading account, just so that you can save time. And then from there, when we insert our incomes and expenses, it will be very easy for us to do that. So let's check. Remember, our trading account is this one here. So we're going to come here. Remember we said that we are going to have cost of sales on the debit side. So we're going to say on 28 February, on 2012 February, and then the 28 here would have cost of sales. And remember we saw this in the general journal, and then we said our cost of sales was 1,600,000, and we said it was 1,675,000. So that 1,675,000 will come here. Okay, and remember after that we said that on the credit side we are going to have our sales. So we would say 2012 February the 28th, then we would have our net sales here, and then this is from the general journal. You take the one that was closed off to that the one that we closed the tax allowance to, which means the final net sales, which is 2,680,000. Then that 2,680,000 will come this side, okay? And then from there, all we need to do is to determine the gross profit or gross loss. Then you can see already that on the bigger side, we have the bigger side is the credit side, so we'd have 2,680,000 here, and then also this side would have 2,680,000. Okay, and then here we are going to have a profit and loss. If we make a profit, that the profit and loss will be written on the debit side of a trading account, so meaning that you can see this side is more than this side, so we're going to have profit and loss here. And this is from the general journal. Remember that difference that we had there of one, how much was it? 1,005,000, right? So that 1,005,000 will come here. 1,005,000 will come here. Then from there, we take the same information, we transfer it to our profit and loss. Remember, we debited trading account, so we must credit profit and loss. So we come here and say, on 2012 February the 28th, we will have trading account, and then we write that this is from the general journal, and then we write that 1,005,000, and then you are done. So you already have some couple of marks. You won't get 0 for this, so you'll know that even if it happens that you don't finish, at least you have some couple of marks. And then the other thing that you can also make sure that you do is to insert your capital balance, since that information was given to you. So what you need to do is that you need to make sure that you check what was your capital balance. Your capital balance, according to this, is 187,310. So you're going to insert it here. So we're going to say that on the 1st of March, remember the beginning of the year is March, so we're going to say here we're going to say 2011 March, and then the first, then our balance brought down. According to this, they said that our capital balance was 187,310. So that 187,310 will come here. Okay, so very important for you guys to understand how these works. Now, for you to master this, like I said, you will need to be very good with your ledger accounts as well as the general journal. Without that, it's going to be a problem. So let's continue with our lesson. Now that we have transferred our the part of the gross profit, we now need to work on all the incomes and expenses that we are going to have. Now, when you deal with your expenses, remember that profit and loss is going to be debited, and then those expenses are going to be credited. So we are going to say here debit profit and loss, debit profit and loss. Okay, and then we are going to credit all the expenses that we are going to have. Remember, you are going to debit profit and loss by the total of those expenses, and then here you write those individual expenses here. So let's start the expenses that we have. Remember guys, when it comes to this, I'm going to highlight the things that you are not going to use. So we have already what we need to do is that we need to highlight what was used. So you already used your sales, you used your cost of sales, you have used the tax allowance, right? So meaning that everything else here, and maybe what I can do, I'm going to highlight the ones that we are going to use in green. All our expenses, I will highlight them in green, but you know that expenses are going to be on the debit side. Okay, so now if you look at this, the first expense that we have is discount allowed 5,960. So I'm going to start by it. Discount allowed, and then it's 5,960. 960. Then we go to the next one. The next one that we have, so this one I can highlight it to say we are done using it. Next is insurance, 14,400. So we have credit insurance, and then the amount is 14,400. And then after that we can go to the next one. We have rent expense, 50,400. So I'm also going to credit rent expense, and then the amount is 50,400. And then the next account that we are going to have, that we are going to credit another expense that we are going to have, we are going to say stationery, 2,424. So we'd have debit stationery 2,424. Okay, and then next we are going to check what else do we have. We have telephone for 12,480. So I will say also credit telephone. Can't remember the amount. The amount according to here was 12,480. So we'd have that 12,480 here. And then from there we are going to check what else are we given. We have water and electricity for 11,996. So I'm going to write it here. I'm going to credit water and electricity for 11,996. And then from there I'm going to check what is the last expense that I have. I have wages for 464,000. Then I'll be done with my expenses. Okay, so I'm going to have wages for 464,000. So we have credit wages for 464,000. Then from there you are done. So all you have to do is to check. Remember the total of this will be what you'll put on. It will be the total on profit and loss of these expenses. So what we can do, we can simply add them here. And then here I will say that the reason why I did this was because I'm doing closing transfers. Okay, then from there what you can also make sure that you do, so remember if you add the total of this, but the most important thing is that they know you said that profit and loss is going to be debited by this amount, and that's what we are going to do. So you don't necessarily have to put that total, but I always advise learners to put that total for safety measures. But for now, because I'm running out of time, I'm not going to put that total. I'll only totalize these things when I do the profit and loss account. And remember guys, I said in accounting you need to work to know how to work simultaneously. So immediately I'm going to go to my profit and loss and enter those things that I was telling you. Now remember, in your profit and loss, on the debit side, this is the debit side, and then this is your credit side. On the credit side, you're going to put all your incomes, excluding the ones that are in relation to gross profit. So meaning that, because why, you have already calculated that gross profit, so there's no need for you to include it here. You're going to include other operating incomes and also your interest incomes here. And then here on the debit side, you're going to put your expenses, excluding the ones that are in relation to the gross profit. Okay, so we can still go there and check what we have as we were doing, just so that you can save time. So we are going to look there. Remember, we are only entering the green ones. So we start, we have discount allowed here. So the first one, remember, it's going to be 2012 February 28, right? Then we are going to have, I think it's discount allowed, and remember this is in the general journal, and then according to that discount is 5,960. So I said I'll debit my profit and loss, so I'm doing that 5,000 960. And then the next expense that we have, it's what else do we have here, is insurance for 14,400. So we'd have that insurance here, insurance, and then in the general journal, and then the amount 14,400. And then from there you move to the next one. What do we have now? We have our rent expense for 50,400, so you include it. Okay, so rent expense and general journal, and then 50,400. And then from there you check what else do we have. We have stationery for 2,524, so you write that stationery for in the general journal for 2,424, and then you have recorded this. Then you proceed with what is next. Then remember you also have telephone for 12,480, so you also write it, telephone for 12,408. And then from there you proceed with whatever that you'll be given. Then after that we have water and electricity for 11,996, so you are going to proceed with it, water and electricity. General journal is 11,996. And then you check what else are you given. You are given wages for 464,000, so you can include that. Okay, so we'd have our wages, general journal, then we know this is for 464,000. okay, so guys, you must really be very careful when it comes to this. Look at how these things have been done for you. Okay, now study this, guys. It will really help you. Then from there what you're left with is to just make sure that you go to your incomes. You check what is on the credit side. This one is not that bad. You only have two incomes, so you can't fail to transfer 2 incomes, guys. Come on. Okay, so now what are we going to do when we come to this? We are then going to say that we are going to credit profit and loss, but remember you must write that in the general journal. So we're going to then debit all our incomes. We need to check what is given to us, what is the income that we are given. So the first income that we have here is our discount received, 6,420. So we're going to write it here, discount received. Then we write that's how much. They said it's 6,420, so remember it must be on the debit side, so 6,420. okay, then we check what else must we debit. I saw we also had something, I can't remember what it was. We also have our interest on fixed deposit, 8,270, so that's what you are going to write. So we're going to say debit interest on fixed deposit, and then remember that amount is 8,270, so that 8,270 is going to come here. Okay, and then from there what must we do? We debited this one, so we must credit profit and loss, but remember you are going to credit it by the total of this. So I'm just going to add this 6,420 plus 8270, and then it is giving us 14,690. so remember it is the sum of the two. Now even here you must do the same thing. Here you must debit this by the total of this, so you guys are going to add this so that you can at least participate by force. Then from there you are going to explain that when you were doing this, you were doing what we call the closing transfers. So I'm going to write here that there's a closing transfers. Okay, then you will most definitely get as many marks as possible. Then from there, you need to remember that there's a then maybe just to save time, what you can then do, you need to check that what do you need to insert on the credit side of profit and loss. So remember, we must enter this discount, so we can go back to our profit and loss, enter discount and interest on fixed deposit. Okay, so we are going to check on that. Our income, we have discount received, so I'm going to enter it here. Discount received, and I'm going to say in the general journal. And remember, our amount according to there is 6,420. So that 6,420 will come this side. And then next we have interest on fixed deposit. So I'll just write deep because I don't have space, and then general journal. And then that interest on fixed deposit, remember, it's according to here, it's 8,270. So you'd have your 8,270 here. Okay, now guys, when it's like this, you need to remember what you must do. This account must be closed off. So meaning the balance that we are going to have according to the steps, it says that the balance that we're going to have, it must be closed off to our capital account. Okay, so let's check between these two sides. You can already tell that the credit side will be the bigger side. We already have 1 million here, so we're going to add the credit side. So if you say 1,000 and 1,005,000, and then you say plus 6,420, and then you also say plus 8,270, it is going to give you 1,019,000. So I'm going to write that 1,019,000, and then let's see what will be that amount. 1,019,690. Okay, so I'm going to put the same total here, 1,019,609. So whatever that we are going to get here as a balance, we are going to transfer it to our capital account. Okay, we need to transfer that particular profit to capital. I always advise learners to say, work out your profit and loss first before you go back to the general journal, because on profit and loss, it's much more easy for you to figure out that extra money that you are going to take to your general journal. So let's see. So remember guys, this 1,019,000 is the sum of those three items, right? Now if we take this and then we say minus all that is on the debit side, minus 464,000, and then we say, okay, maybe let me do it like this so that it doesn't give us error. So 1,019,690, then we say subtract 464,000, and then we say subtract 11,996, then we say subtract 12,480, and then we say subtract 2,424, and then maybe let me confirm if that figure is the right one. 2,424, yeah, it's fine. So now once you've done this, after, then you would say we then subtract the next one, which is 50,400. So we say minus 50,400, and then you will also say minus 14,400, and then you also say minus 5,960, and then you will get the amount that we are going to take to our profit and loss, which is 458,080. So this 458,080 will come here. This 458,080, it will come here. Do you see now how this is important? So now if you look at this, our profit and loss has been debited by capitals, which means capital will be credited by profit and loss. So we're going to come this side and say on 2012 February the 28th, we are going to have profit and loss, and then in the general journal we are going to write it after this. So that 458,030 will come here. Now we need to take this information and transfer it to our general journal. So remember, we said that we are going to debit profit and loss. So we debit profit and loss, and then we credit capital. Okay, and then the amount that we are going to, or maybe just before we do this, but it's fine, the amount that we are going to do is to put is going to be 458,000 and date. So we'd have that 458,000 and date, and then the reason for this is that this is a closing transfer. So we'll explain that this is a closing transfer. Okay, then you need to make sure that lastly there's a step, remember, that says that we must close off our drawings to capital. So in other words, you are going to debit capital, and then from there you're going to credit your drawings. Why are we doing this? Because this is a closing transfer. Okay, and then we then check what is the amount of the drawings from the trial balance. The amount for the drawings from the trial balance is 108,000. So this 108,000 will be what comes here. Okay, 108,000, and then from there we'd have that 108,000 here, and then from there you just have to close off this to do the journal entries in your capital account. And then if you look at this, we are almost done, guys. You'll only be left with the post-closing trial balance. So like I said, I'm not going to do it in this lesson. So remember what we are going to do on 2012 February the 28th, we are going to have drawings this side because they must be closed off to capital. So this is from the general journal, and then the amount is 108,000, and then from there what you do, you close this, you get the total. Now let's see, 187,310, 187,310 plus 458,030. It is giving us 645,000 645,340. Okay, so we'd have that 645,340. Now obviously these two sides are not the same, but they should be the same, equal. So we'd have our balance carried down on the 28th of February. So meaning that this will be our shortage, which will become in 2012 March the 1st, it will be our balance brought down. So remember, your balance carried down and brought down must be the same here. Okay, because your closing for this year is your opening for next year. So now what is the difference that we are supposed to get here? If we say 645,340, then we say subtract 108,000, it's going to give us that amount, which is 537,340. Okay, then it will come here, 537,340. Then we are done with this. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any question, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me. If you want me to tutor you on a personal level, you are more than welcome to get in touch with me so that I can arrange with you the fees for that particular personalized lesson. Please don't forget to leave your comments on the comment section of this video. Tell your friends who are doing accounting to also watch this lesson so that we can be able to make a difference in your academic life. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Shalom.